Hello and
Hello.
welcome back.
Welcome back.
We are so excited to have artist David Boi on the podcast today. Hello, Davy.
Hi.
Hi, how are you guys?
Doing good.
Doing
How are
well.
you?
It's hot.
It's so hot.
I am doing good, yes. It is not as hot in LA, but I'm doing good, yes.
Oh, so you're in
LA.
LA. How warm is it in LA these days?
It has been trending towards like 90, 80, but today it's pretty good.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
I miss the West Coast weather.
I know.
Well, no, at least do you have a pool close by where you can at least get in the pool when you want to?
Yeah, friends downtown, stuff like that. Or the beach. There's always that, which is a short drive.
That's
There's always
good.
the beach.
All we
There's
have
always
is a
the beach.
bathtub.
Maybe, barely.
Yeah,
Sometimes
barely.
not even
Right.
that.
Oh my
You
God.
should get one of those
yes.
city pools.
As a dirty
I
Hudson.
know.
No.
So good. I actually swam in the Hudson once.
Yeah, you did.
You
Yeah, that's
did.
what you got.
It
gang.
was.
Right.
There's actually a service that you can use here that you can actually rent like pools at rich people's homes to use for like 2 hours at a time. So a lot of the LA people do that.
Oh,
Wow.
I did not.
I would do that.
I would definitely do that.
I'm actually going to do that when I come back to LA.
Yeah, now.
news.
Let's look into a New York thing.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sure they
thing.
I think it's called Swimly or something, but yeah, it's definitely a
Swimly.
thing. Me and my friends have been doing it. Yeah.
I'm about to write that down.
Tell production to write that down.
Right.
Yeah, all right. Well,
That's
PA's in the corner.
nice. So Davey, obviously you're an LGBTQ artist. So I'm curious, like, when did you get that calling, not to be LGBTQ, but when did you get the
Or that.
calling, or that, to like become this artist and share your music and your lyrics with the world?
Well, I've always wanted to be an artist of some form or fashion. I have been doing art since I was like 7. I started writing songs when I was like really little, around that age. So it's always been like a thing that I had a passion for it. And then after that, my mom put me in arts programs from like kindergarten through high school. So I professionally really did want to do it. I went to a performing arts high school, same performing arts high school as like Kehlani and like other like singers who are out there doing it big now.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I've always wanted to do art. And then in college, I took a turn. I wanted to like maybe do business instead, just so I had like a sort of like a background in something in case, you know, the art thing it may or may not pan out depending. So I wanted to have like a back plan, but I decided like maybe 2017, one of my friends, I was working as an intern at A&R for a music company here in Los Angeles. And they were like, well, you're so good yourself. Why don't you do art again? And I was like, well, maybe, but like I'm like at my desk and like doing my thing. So then I was like, yeah, sure, I want to put out music again. So I started up the Music Machine again, and then I put out my first official release as a part of this new project, the Davy Boi project, in 2019.
So you make it sound so easy. Like, I'll just start up the Music Machine and then release like a single. But like, what does that really entail? Like, for the listeners out there, you don't just like call it. You have your Music Machine just in the corner of your room. Like, what does that like really mean in terms of making yourself somebody?
Like getting started. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, so when I went to business school, it was like a music conservatory program at Berkeley, but it's like the music business side of the business. So I guess I kind of wanted a background in that. But when I say that, I literally mean, so I come from like the digital marketing side of a recording company, or at least that's what I was doing at the time. So for me, when I said I'm gonna turn up the Music Machine, it literally means like, I was training to be a product manager, meaning like there's an artist and then our products are the new singles, the video, the photo shoot, and then they coordinate that. So I was training to do that job. So essentially it just took this shift for me of like, I'm gonna just product manage my own career.
Right.
And then I just turned on the machine myself, and I was literally bouncing back from like boardroom in the daytime to like at night. I was like taking the pages home of the notes for other artists and like just literally copying it to my own plan.
Wow.
Which panned out because like after a couple of months of like doing that, like I started getting traction in press and like streams and all that stuff. So that, but in terms of like just being an artist, I think a lot of artists are doing that, whether they went to school for it business wise or not, because I think you kind of have to now. There are so many artists who are doing so many releases, so many drops, whether it's on SoundCloud or whether it's on YouTube fame or TikTok fame or wherever artists are popping off. Like independent or DIY artists are sort of just figuring out how to reach their fans, which is the most important thing. And then you think
Right.
hopefully the press comes along, hopefully one of these people in the dark rooms at Spotify or Apple put you on a playlist, something like that. But yeah, essentially, like, you kind of have to be your own product manager as an artist, and so that's kind of what I did. And I organized photo shoots, the videos, all that stuff. You know, the branding, because so much now of being an artist is not only just the music; it's also the aesthetic and your visuals and your presence, just how people relate to you.
Absolutely. Like that's, I think like the biggest thing nowadays is like, how do you sell yourself? Can you sell yourself? 'Cause- And like, but speaking of, what was the not Spotify?
Kwani?
No, SoundCloud. Sorry. I just listened to your latest track, which is a
Oh,
bop.
Yeah.
So I want to know,
it's
like,
so good.
who inspires you? Like, what artists or like anyone in your family or anything like that?
A lot of artists inspire me. I like that question sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, oh no, I have so many different artists that inspire me, so I don't know who to choose. I think right now, I've been really into like, I will say certain playlists, honestly. I think like Lorem on Spotify or like the alternative playlist on
Yeah, I need to
alternative
take
R&B on Apple Music. I think for me, like the genre list kind of artists are kind of where I'm being more attracted to. Like there's like Joji, or like you think like there's like even bigger artists who are doing some genre, like Travis Scott even does genre bending stuff here and there, and I like I'm inspired
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
that. My former producer, or not former producer, he's still a producer, but he's just so busy now. But he works for like Kanye and like Selena Gomez and all these people now. It's like a string
Okay.
arranger. But he sort of started to like make his project more organic to who he was as a person. So I've been more inspired to like pull in influences from multitude of artists, and so I think I'm drawing on like a bunch of that, but also pulling on my own background as an artist too.
Awesome.
Cool. Love that. I was curious to know, first of all, being LGBT and being Black and being albino, how has that been for you in this industry? I'm sure you've unfortunately faced struggles.
Yeah.
Do you have any stories of struggles that you could share with us and our listeners and how you've overcome them?
Yeah, like I've had this question a lot and I answer it different ways. I know for me personally, like I I had identity crisis issues growing up, not really knowing ever when or how to like fit into a particular situation. I went to school first for musical theater before I transferred over to just doing music. And the impetus or the reason why I did that was because I have like a classically trained vocal instrument. But like if you think like back in like 2013 when I was thinking about what to do in terms of like schooling and career, it was like I could have like the voice of a leading actor in a show, but a director at Carnegie Mellon was just like, you sound incredible. Like you sound like you could be anybody, any leading man on Broadway, but your look, as unique as it is, might not fit into a particular character type or trope. So just right then, I thought that my Broadway career was like dead in the water. And
That is so
was
fucked up.
That is, yeah, no, I
well,
feel the
yeah,
struggle.
but it's like one of those things where I thought, I think now to be a little bit different because now somebody would probably find something for me. But I even had auditioned for Glee years ago. And the same thing, the casting people over at Glee and then Ryan Murphy thought I was also incredible. But there was this question of like what I would do. And of course, they were creating roles for people. But like, at the time, they were looking for a specific boyfriend type. But could I have done that with my current look at the time? So, I mean, now it's a lot different, I think, and now that's why I think I've even had more traction in recent years, the last couple of years. I think people have like completely changed their idea of what they could do in terms of casting me something. But at the time when I was deciding, it was like a lot of like, you're so great, but what do we do with you? So that was a
Wow.
big hassle. So that's what made me decide to go to school for business, because I thought if I can't do it for myself, I can certainly do it for somebody else on the business end. because I have the talent for it, but
Yeah.
maybe they won't accept me. And then it was, I think it was a combination of Frank Ocean openly coming out as queer, summer of 2012, and then I saw Sean Ross's career popping off on that side, and then appearing in like Party with Beyonce or Katy Perry's huge video for E.T. And I thought like there was a shift in my brain where I was like, maybe times are shifting enough for me to be able to do something. And then I saw Troye Sivan, who was from the UK, a white artist, certainly, but still an artist making a push to be like a major pop act as being a queer artist. So the intersection of all three of those brands or people deciding to do that made me think, okay, maybe I can make a second go at it. And that's what made me think, I'll try it again. But the roadblocks have always, to me, been like, you are great, but what do we do with you? But now I will say it's a little bit of a shift, because now it's been more, people identify me as potentially a model. I did an interview with one major publication, and they were so lovely, but they were like, your aesthetic is so great. And they kind of like overlooked my music because they thought that like I just had a great brand visually. So
wow, it's crazy how that shifts.
It swung both ways. And then one guy literally said to me like, "Oh, your music is fine, but like, wow, we love your look." And I'm like, "Okay, well, what is the rest of the interview?" But yeah.
I love that.
It does shift a little bit. So, but I'm grateful for that, because I'm happy that now people can see me as not just like an other, but an actual like thing that people can identify with, or a person somebody can identify with.
For sure.
I love that. So kind of going back to your music, Do Myself Better is such a powerful title. To me, honestly, it means doing yourself better, especially in this environment we're in right now. What made you think of a name for such a great track, especially with everything that's going on in the world right now?
Yeah, I think the title, we were in a session and we're trying to figure out what the song should be called. Oftentimes as a songwriter, I'm like old school in the sense that I love old school pop records, and I think the title should just be in the track, like, and it should be the chorus. It should be like the main thing that you're doing. So we thought out what would be a good thing for people to relate to and say to themselves. And I thought, like, you know, I want to be taking better care of myself. I want to be treating myself better. But then we thought of like a more assertive way of saying it was like, I can definitely be actively doing myself better. And so we just took off the ing and said do myself better, which is I think it is relatable to the time, because either both ways. I think sometimes people are judging themselves now for not having the access to like be doing a better job, because there's so much in terms of like people being unemployed or people not having the same you know, opportunities that they used to have, and there's a lot of pressure to like do things that maybe you can't even have access to doing right now. But then there's also a small changes you can make in your own, whether it's mentality or just the way you talk to yourself, that you could be doing yourself better. And that's, I thought, was relatable enough to make into a song title.
I loved it, and I related to it. And when you were talking about, fixing my skin and doing my hair, I was like, it's absolutely true. Because in the beginning of this thing, we were like, oh, it'll be like 2 or 3 weeks, no big deal. And then
here we are, like 4 months later.
Here we are.
But along that time, we were like, let's start, like, we started doing face masks more, doing face scrubs. I was
doing natural hair products, you know. Yes. I wish we could get on the diet part of that. you know, in due time. In due time. Small steps, big steps.
Are you gonna write another song to follow up with that, saying like, I'm bored as fuck now?
There is. So, wow, I love that.
I've done it all.
Yeah,
We ran out of things to do.
There is a follow-up EP in which one of the songs that I'm writing for the EP that's coming out, either like fall or early winter, is definitely about that. One of them is about going back to bed because I oftentimes feel like sometimes I just want to like I'm done. Like
Facts.
it'll be
every day.
It's 2 p.m. and I'm like I'm done already. So.
Yeah, facts. That literally happened today.
Yeah.
I'll eat lunch and be like, oh, I'm gonna take a nap.
Right.
Yeah,
Might as
like
well.
we wake up to eat and we go back because I feel like we're stuck in this clock where we keep doing like hamsters
Like
at will.
Groundhog Day.
We're doing the same thing over and over again. It's really crazy.
Yeah.
We were still doing the clockwork pre-pandemic. At least I was. With,
Yeah.
like, the 9 to 5 and the coffee shop and the lunch
Right,
break
right.
and the blah blah blah. We're just all hamsters anyway. So if you name your next song Hamsters, I need like a featured guest appearance.
Okay.
Well, the thing I loved
Let's talk.
also, the thing I loved also about your music, just to tell you, like, I was like, I wish I could be. It made me miss the streets, to be honest. I wish I was at the club and lounging so I can hear it. Do you feel like that's also impacted, like, where your song can be out there in those places?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think a lot of friends of mine have talked about this. For instance, like if you follow, well, you all probably do, but like Lady Gaga's whole like pushing back Chromatica and then deciding to drop it. I think like if you're an act that likes dance music or like your music will do, even like Dua Lipa's project, I think could have gotten more hype, but didn't get as much
Chloe
hype.
and Halle.
Yeah, like I know Chloe and Halle, but I've been low key jamming to that. Like
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
but so many artists who do music that you could definitely hear in the club. It's a shame that you don't get to either be at a festival and hear that played or be just dancing to it at a club because there's music that does well there. However, there's a whole sort of like I want to call it underground of like Zoom events and like Zoom parties of like DJs who are doing stuff on there, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I do miss the idea of somebody in WeHo like putting my track on in a club or something because that would be ideal. Yeah.
One day.
One day.
Well,
hopefully.
However, I can't imagine it right now. Honestly,
Right.
I've been comfortably inside of my apartment for months, and the idea of me going out to like a nightclub is kind of terrifying at this point. So
No, 100.
Yeah.
I had to take I had to take the subway for the first time today for some work stuff. And while it was like, everyone kept their distance and stuff, it's still the same old shenanigans.
Some things never change.
Somebody was flipping on the poles.
There's a crackhead on the corner.
You know what's
there's
sad,
a lot
though?
of anxiety.
What's sad, though, is everyone's trying to push, not to get too political, but here I go. Everyone's trying to push like all the schools to reopen, and for what? So little kids can die. I guess that's what's most important. Anyway,
welcome to the show. How we doing?
No, it just gets under my. Anyway, we'll chat.
Anyways,
about it
let's shift gears.
Yeah.
Shifting gears. So you just started a podcast as well, named after your newest track, "Do Myself Better." So tell us how you were inspired to start a podcast and how that all came about.
And when can we be on it?
Yeah, I know. Well, let's just like flip it around and you just appear on my show.
Okay.
The podcast that idea came to me because I thought, I had a friend. His name is John Ollie, and he does like a playlist.
We know him.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So
DJ John Ali.
Yeah. He did like a playlist where he was featuring lots of like queer artists, and we became friends over the course of like of the time like I was featured on there over the last year or so. So he was just like, your personality is so relatable / great that no one really knows because I don't like social media. I'm not the kind I'm like growing into the like awareness of like doing it as like a brand, but
you have to.
I would much rather like be in my house like minding my own business, but he was like, people should like see you or hear you or whatever. So I did a show with interview with him, and then we talked more about it, and I was like, the song I think is like people will get it if they're like me and they have the same kind of emotions and feelings. So I thought I want to talk to people about that stuff. Maybe that would be one way for people to get some insight into both how I was feeling, but also hear from other people who were going through the same things, but in different ways. So I called some people and said they were down to do it, and yeah, they were. So I just started like doing interviews over Zoom, and we recorded that like starting early July, and it just came together really beautifully because now a lot of other people have reacted to that or DM'd me and said that like even as a part of the rollout of the single, it was one of their favorite parts. So I found that really comforting because I think people don't always talk about how they're feeling, and the point of the podcast was that to talk about it.
I love that.
Speaking of feelings, I have a question. So like, WAP just came out, you know, Cardi B's new track. And I just am like, I don't know, mad or just like bugged that like she's getting like so much backlash, her and Megan, for like, you know, just embracing their womanhood and being sexual and like owning that. Whereas like men have been doing it since the dawn of
beginning of time.
So it's like, how do you feel about like the backlash that they're receiving from?
Yeah, a lot of people talk about that record. I personally, I work out to it. I've danced to it. I like get down to it. I love this song personally.
It's so good.
Let me tell you something. I think people confuse a lot of things these days. A lot of people are saying, or made fun of the Diane Warren tweet saying that like, I think she was kind of like jokingly saying that if she could ever write a song as good as WAP. I think a lot of people confuse a lot of what rap artists are doing as opposed to like what a traditional pop act had set out to do. Like, for instance, the song is a part of Cardi's overall brand, a part of the content strategy of rappers putting out more things that their fans can relate to. The track itself, I think for guys to talk about or to try to criticize Cardi or Meg or whomever about their sexuality is sort of a cop-out only because men will talk about it. How many songs does Lil Wayne talk about eating pussy? So the idea of them getting judged for talking about or owning their own sexuality on a track that they're going to get the publishing royalties from is,
I know that's right.
Hello, right, is sort of ridiculous. I don't think it should even warrant like, you know, people really like going into deep discussion about it. It's one track in Cardi's career. Cardi has several tracks.
And she's allowed to say that.
Yeah.
It's her Bible.
And she's married, so she's only talking about her man.
Yeah.
And even if she isn't.
Right. Even if she isn't, who cares?
Yeah. And then Meg was talking about how like people were saying how Meg and like how their bodies looked in the video and how like they were showing so much skin. Like
they look great.
How do I? But like it was like how do I? Or this guy I saw on Twitter was complaining about like his daughter seeing that video. Sir, your daughter, sir, your daughter shouldn't be. I mean, why is your daughter on Stan Twitter? Like, I just
if that's the problem,
then she got YouTube Kids.
Yeah, YouTube Kids.
Right, YouTube Kids.
Exactly.
Listen to Kids Pop version.
You know, this idea that like every artist is supposed to be your daughter's or your son's role model, whereas I think there is a place for artists and people to be role models. It's certainly not an artist's job to edit their life and edit their creativity to be able for you to properly parent your kids. Those are not the same things, and it's also not 1952. We're not like trying to play to the suburbs, really. So
I know.
Do you think, kind of going on to that question, do you think a lot of the critiques that came for that song, because I was talking to you guys about this the other day, was particularly because Cardi has been so vocal politically, and that she spoke out a lot against what's going on with our current president, and what's going on? Do you believe that? Because I saw a lot of people in that cabinet tweeting about it, and they were just like, how dare she, this country wasn't built on this. Do you believe that that had a lot to say with people complaining about her?
If it did, that's ridiculous. But also, let's pay attention to who's really watching. Because if these conservative white men are saying this about Cardi B, they are clicking the same video link we're clicking.
Because they like what they see.
Accident.
Right.
Just they got on Grindr by accident.
Right.
Yeah, Lady G, we see you.
Lady G. Oh my God,
I
you guys.
How many get next?
But no, like I think that like Cardi B's criticism, she has run into some criticism from conservatives, but that's all bullshit. I feel like Cardi B is allowed to express her political opinion like anybody else is. Like this thing about artists or athletes staying in their own lane is kind of ridiculous. If that girl with her following, is whoever they might be, can sway 1 or 2 or 3 votes, depending on how she feels about any political issue, she has the right to do that and talk about her pussy.
Hello. So Davy, before we wrap things up, I want you to tell our listeners like what's next for you. What do you have in the pipeline? What's coming up? What can we watch out for?
Yes.
Yeah, so in the next couple of months, I'm dropping more tracks. I have a video project coming out. I have a live session video that I'm going to be dropping of a couple of songs, some that are like coming up, some that I already have released. That's coming soon. And then we're looking for a late fall or an early winter drop for like an EP project. But I just want to get all the visuals lined up for that. But yeah, I'm excited about that. And my first little merchandise collection, which is a thing that I've really wanted to do for a while. So
Okay.
Yes, merch.
Okay.
She coming out of the gate strong.
I know.
I love to see it.
That's amazing. So where can our listeners follow you?
The best place to follow any artist these days is on Spotify, mostly because the algorithm on Spotify enjoys people's following growing there at a nice rate. So follow Davy Boi on Spotify, DAVYBOI. And also, I am Davy Boi everywhere else online, Twitter, IG. I really don't like Facebook. To me, it's like a dark hole. But
It is.
I also,
It's very archaic. We don't use that.
yeah, I also have a profile there. But yeah, like follow me in other places. And coming soon, hopefully, I'll be on TikTok once I just like figure it out and want to do one of those like videos where I change outfits really fast.
Yeah, these kids now with these transition videos, I'm just like,
right,
so old. And in the
yeah,
way.
exactly.
So old
I'm
and in
so
the way.
old.
My knees creak every time they move.
It took me a whole day to learn the Savage dance.
And then he took it down.
He did.
And I was like, this is garbage.
No.
But you know, you have to
actually though, they've made it super easy on the new IG competitor Reels because now there's like an alignment feature where it like lets you align the video, which I think is incredible. So I'm playing around with that a little bit.
All right.
I was gonna say I'm waiting for somebody to make an entire horror movie on Instagram Reels.
Let's do it.
I know we got to do it.
We're gonna
do it.
Nobody steal it, okay?
Hello.
We'll copyright it now.
Yes, run to the office.
Thank you, Davy, for joining us and having a cute little chat.
Yeah.
We really enjoyed having you.
This Kiki was mom.
Thank you. Thank you.
And when we're in LA, of course, we'll hit you up and vice versa, like in 2025 when we're all able to
right, when we're all done with this.
Yeah, once it's all over in 2026, yes.
Right. When we have a new president and a new Madam VP.
Yes. Oh, I'm so excited about that.
Me too. All right, you take care of yourself and don't be a stranger.
All right.
I will not be. Thank you.
We'll see you soon.
Bye.